This is Weirdly Enough, your regular podcast for strange stories and amazing facts, delivered straight to your favorite podcast directory and at weirdlyenough.com. Now, here are your hosts, Andy and Len.
Thanks to everyone that got in touch about last week's podcast. It was all about the 27 Club, and it's up wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Weirdly Enough. You can go to our website as well, www.weirdlyenough.com. All our archives are up there, and they're all free, so do go and check it out. We're on Facebook, search for Weirdly Enough Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Weirdly Enough PC. That's our hashtag. We're on Instagram, but we've never logged into it, so we don't know what it's about, and it scares us, just like that other thing. What's it called? TikTok?
We're never doing TikTok.
No.
We're never doing TikTok. I don't even know how... I don't even know what the point of TikTok is.
Yeah. Do you remember Trump tried to ban it, didn't they?
It's because it's to do with the Chinese.
It's Chinese,
you see, some people think it's a way that the CCP are trying to undermine Western society.
Oh, yeah.
You know, which, looking at TikTok, it's plausible.
TikTok.
You know what I mean?
Do you see, I've never watched TikTok, but I've seen YouTube videos on, of TikTok videos that have been put onto YouTube, and there's this strange, like, narration where people type in, and then it must, like, there must be a system on TikTok that narrates it for you.
Have you seen the TikTok challenges?
Yeah.
Like the bunny challenge?
No, I haven't.
This is something, oh god, basically what it is, it's basically young lassies, and they're kind of lying on their front, and the way that's the cam, it's...
What are you looking at?
It's not, honestly, it's not, this is going to sound really dodgy, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it is anyway. But they manipulate their feet so it looks like bunny ears behind their head.
Oh, right, okay.
And there's an obscure Russian rapper who had a song that was something to do with us, but there's a line in it where he goes, Bugs Bunny, right. Like, over and over again. That's sort of done in time with that. It's just the most annoying thing. But it's one of many challenges that apparently you get on TikTok.
Right, okay.
But it's dreadful, like.
Were you watching that again?
I was not. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. I don't recognise that. That's tune.
That tune, they played that out like in American malls and stuff. I've seen just played out loud, and everybody's like looking around. They all know what it is.
I don't. Honestly, I don't.
That should be our new theme tune.
We got local businessman had this sample track.
Yes.
Had these 5 sample tracks. Anyway, I like this time of year.
Why?
Because there's a sort of bittersweet quality about everything.
Everything looks like a Matt Berry album cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
It makes me think of tradition and the countryside.
Yes.
Harvest and even the light. Like I was saying to a friend of mine, it was very warm yesterday and it was very sunny, but it had a very autumnal quality to that, you know, that sort of weak kind of light.
There's certain things I'd only listen to, certain music, and Matt Berry would be one of them. Once autumn hits, it's like, I get the Matt Berry on. I love some of his, especially the stuff he did about 10 years ago. Although his modern is that anyway, this is a side thing. Also, that musical that that album that Forever Autumn's from.
That was War of the Worlds. Because again, there's media that's quintessentially autumnal.
Yes.
Such as a good example would be Wolfnut now.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very... It's set in the autumn, but it's also the themes are very autumnal.
Will you have a cup of tea with Noel?
You know what I mean? It's just that sort of autumnal feel. But anyway, one of the features of the autumn that I've found interesting for a while is for the phenomenon of crop circles.
Crop circles?
Now, that became a big thing in the 90s, and there was lots of stories, lots of theories. Was it UFOs? Was it Ley Lines? And then these two guys came out who were allegedly making them by hand.
Okay.
We'll talk about them in a minute.
Pretty intricate, aren't they, some of them?
They are indeed, yeah. And famously, Big Brother, whenever they started out, they had an advertising campaign that was a big eye.
Yeah.
And a crop circle, you know. But if I was looking to sort of see how far back in history this actually goes, and the first reference to the crop circle is a pamphlet that was published in 1678.
The Mowing Devil.
The Mowing Devil, or Strange News Out of Hertfordshire. Because back in the day,
the last thing ever to come out of Hertfordshire.
One of the things I like about the old pamphlets back in the day is they always have these incredibly long-winded titles. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's The Mowing Devil or Strange News Out of Hertfordshire. But basically the pamphlet tells of a farmer in Hertfordshire who refusing to pay the price demanded by a labourer to mow his field, so he'd rather the devil mowed it instead.
Right.
So basically that night he looked out because his field looked like it was on fire. Mm-hmm. Now the next morning the field was found to be perfectly mowed, that no mortal man was able to do the like. Mm-hmm. Now there's a quote here that's quite interesting, and it says, "The Mowing Devil or Strange News Out of Hertfordshire, being a true relation of a farmer who bargaining with a poor mower about the cutting down 3 half-acres of oats upon the mower's asking too much, the farmer swore that the devil would mow it rather than he, and lo it fell that very night the crop of oats, though it had been all of a flame, but next morning it appeared to be nightly mowed by the devil or some infernal spirit, that no mortal man was able to do the like. Also how the said oats lay in the field and the owner has not power to fetch them away." So it was the first recorded incident widely disseminated through pamphlets of this happening.
And if you look at this pamphlet and you listen to last week's show, the devil looks like the happy devil that you drew in art class a little bit.
But you see, to be honest, my answer would be, well, kind of handy enough, because the devil kind of done a good job.
Yeah.
You know, so that was maybe not a bad
maybe
thing.
He took all the crop away.
Oh, I suppose so, right enough, yeah. It does kind of beg the question if there's Amazon.
Oh.
Sorry, I got distracted there. It does sort of beg the question if if his field was on fire.
Yes.
Why did he not go and investigate it?
Yes.
Now, in the 19th century, they were starting to adopt a bit more of a scientific approach. And there's an 1880...
No, he is coming here. You keep going.
Yes, I'll just burble on here.
Okay.
There's an 1880 letter to the editor of Nature by an amateur scientist, John Rand. John Rand Capron, he described how several circles of flattened crops in a field were formed under suspicious circumstances and possibly caused by cyclonic wind action. So he reckoned it was like maybe like a little tornado or a little whirlwind had caused the patterns. And there's a lot of scientists still think that was maybe the case. Now,
sorry about that.
I know it's fine. It's all part. It's it's all very. Sure, it helps to pad it out anyway, doesn't it?
Pad it out, yeah.
Now, there's one group of people that I hate.
What's that?
Pranksters.
Pranksters. Oh.
And almost as much as debunkers.
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 Yeah.
In 1991, two self-professed pranksters, Barr and Chorley, Doug Barr and Dave Chorley, made headlines because this is a whole big thing at the time, and they claimed that they started the phenomenon of crop circles in 1978.
Right.
Well, hang on, how do you explain the Mowing Devil then?
Yeah.
And then,
but maybe he wasn't the same thing.
And how do you explain the 19th century when Mr. John Rand Capron was talking about the crop circles? That doesn't explain that. Now, you may remember these guys. Do you remember these pranksters?
Yeah, I remember something about it anyway.
They were the guys you may have remembered every summer in the 90s they did this. And they reckoned they used a plank of wood, a rope and a baseball cap filled with a loop of wire to help them walk in straight lines. And to prove their case, they made a circle in front of journalists. And they did this many, many times. Like I said, this went on for about 10 years.
I wonder what the financial cost of all this beaten down crop was.
If I was a farmer, I would have cracked up. I would have taken legal action against these pranksters. Now, apparently, people who are into studying crop circles are called seriologists.
Right, okay.
And they advocate the paranormal explanation of the crop circles. There's a guy called Pat Delgado. He was one of these guys that reckon that it's like, you know, a UFO thing, and he looked at this crop circle. He said, "Oh no, it's genuine."
Yeah.
And then these guys, the pranksters, turned around and said, "Oh no, wait, it was a hoax." So they kind of made a bit of a fill of him. But one of the interesting things, they've appeared all over the world, but they're very concentrated in the southwest of England. And they tend to kind of go in seasons. Like you'll get ones in canola and from April through to May, barley throughout May and June, and wheat from June until early September. So, and it's become like a whole industry. I mean, you got like a lot of new age people attracted to see the corns, the crop circles, and it's associated with in the southwest of England because it's all to do with, you know, like Stonehenge, and there's a big new age travelling community down there, and it sort of ties in with that. Some people think it's to do with like ley lines, you know, the way like ley lines, these energy lines that are like interconnecting, it's to do with that. Personally, I think ley lines are quite interesting. I've been looking at the history of Southwest. Quite an interesting place. Now, Wiltshire, as we said before, is the home of Stonehenge, and there's famously a stone circle on the village of Avebury.
Yeah.
There's lots of rolling downs of strange burial mounds and standing stones. And
keep going.
Some people think that it forms a grid
yeah.
of ley lines and, you know, paths of energy, and it's a vast network that's overlaid in the form of sacred geometry, which is a whole different topic for a different day.
So are they saying it is definitely caused by UFOs?
He says different. There's different theories.
Caused by these ley lines.
The ley lines is the ley line. The energy thing's quite interesting.
Yeah.
You know. Now there was a guy who was right. Yes. Now this is very interesting. If you're of a conspiratorial mindset, bent like myself, the Rockefellers do tend to come up time and time again.
Quite a lot.
Colin Andrews, in 2009. Was a local government engineer. He did some research into crop circles, and guess who he was bankrolled by?
The Rothschilds?
Rockefellers. He was bankrolled by American billionaire and UFO enthusiast Lawrence Rockefeller of the famous oil dynasty. You know, nothing to say here, just a coincidence, I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
Mr. Andrews argued that while 80% of those in Britain were the work of hoaxers like Barr and Chorley, who we will not speak of again, the remaining 20% were caused by fluctuations in the Earth's natural magnetic forces. Your ley lines.
So it was caused by ley lines rather than UFOs then.
Exactly. So if you have a conspiratorial mindset, the Rockefellers, I mean, they're allegedly, according to researchers like Fritz Springmeier, he talks about the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. The Rockefellers would be one of the families.
Yeah.
So is it possible that they're trying to harness the power of the ley lines? By, you know, they're looking to harness the power of these ley lines, these forces, so they follow maybe these crop circles, or something to do with it. So they're bankrolling this chap, Colin Andrews. Now, Colin Andrews claimed to build up a database of 10,000 circles spotted around the world and hired private detectives to track down hoaxers, which is a bit borderline sinister. He told BBC Radio 4's Today programme that the other 20% remain quite another thing, and I think the Earth's magnetic field is directly involved. So his thing was that 80% are the hoaxers, but there's 20% are genuinely these forces. So obviously Mr. Rockefeller is funding this guy so they can tap into these forces, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe trying to get the power from it. Have you ever heard of the Tully, Australia?
No, I haven't heard of that.
It happened in 1966. It was a guy, George Pedley. He was a banana farmer from Tully in the far north of Queensland. Driving his tractor past the lagoon on his property when he suddenly heard a large ear-piercing hissing above the sound of the engine. He thought he'd sustained a puncture, But when he got out to look, he saw a flying saucer rose from the lagoon at great speed with a blue puff of vapour, and it left behind it a 9-metre diameter circle, a nest-like mark, he described it as, in the lagoon's floating reeds.
That's interesting.
And the leads were fused together, presumably by the heat of the engine, and continued to swirl for some time in a clockwise direction.
Interesting.
So yes, there's an eyewitness that says they saw a crop circle, or a lagoon circle anyway, made by a UFO.
Here's an interesting thing. Led Zeppelin released a box set in 1990, and it featured an image of a crop circle that appeared in Eastfield in Allen Barnes, Wiltshire.
Right, okay.
So they definitely say it seems to be something about the southwest of England, you know.
Yeah.
Now, this guy, Colin Andrews, he researched these crop circles for 17 years, bankrolled by Mr. Rockefeller.
Okay.
Stated that while he believed 80% were man-made, these 20%, with, interestingly enough, he reckons the genuine ones don't have the elaborate designs.
Right.
All the fancy ones, you know, the kind of crazy looking ones, are all fake. But the very simple ones, he reckon, are actually real things. And they're explained by a 3-degree shift in the Earth's magnetic fields that creates a current that electrocutes the crops, causing them to flatten and then form the circle. So I think that's really, you know, all we've got to say, really.
All we've got to say on the matter. Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll be back with a few of our weird, quirky stories right after this. So a video has emerged of a guy calling himself Alexander Smith, who claims he took part in a 1981 CIA experiment where he travelled to the year 2118. In the video, the time traveller can be seen holding a photograph of what he claims to be a city almost 100 years from now. The grainy photo shows large, strangely shaped skyscrapers, but it could easily have been mocked up. He spoke to a paranormal YouTube channel called Apex TV, stating that aliens do visit us. There are intelligent extraterrestrials that do come to Earth in the mid-21st century. So it's all ahead of us, like the wheelbarrow.
Well, I suppose we're nearly in the mid-21st century now. We're kind of getting towards it. So
might happen in our lifetime, you never know. And apparently as well, the future president is a robot.
No, you say, no, he's just getting stupid. I could believe aliens before I could believe presidential robots. It's just the bird's too far for me.
You know,
it's kind of as a bit absurd. You know?
A robot might be more animated than Biden.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Might be able to remember the name of the Australian Prime Minister. And
did he forget?
Yes. That fellow from Down Under.
Did you see Boris Johnson the other day was going on about Kermit the Frog?
Right? No, I didn't see that.
Because he was talking about, because it's all, you know, the green agenda now, it's all build back better.
Yeah.
We got to be carbon neutral by 2030. And all that sort of stuff. So he was saying, some people say it's difficult to be green, but it's easy to be green. And he started saying, he's quoting Kermit the Frog, you know, it's easy to be green.
Well, Kermit is green already.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been hearing a lot about climate protesters, and moving on from that, blocking motorways, including London's M25. Well, now a cow has decided to get in on the action. The cow, called Daisy, that's an original name for a cow anyway, she escaped from a field and got into the anti-clockwise carriageway near Godstone. Rush hour traffic was blocked for almost half an hour while a farmer and traffic cops encouraged the bovine to give up her one-girl protest. And in other cow news, animals have been airlifted by helicopter in Switzerland. It's one way to get injured cattle to the bottom of their pasture areas in time for the winter snows. 10 cows from around the 1,000 strong herd were airlifted in time for the annual Underboden Cow Parade. Please make way for the cow parade. Do you remember the Harry Hill's Badger Parade?
Oh, the Badger parade, yes.
Make way, please, for the cow parade. And video has emerged, this is quite animal based anyway, but a video has emerged of a cat losing one of its 9 lives in spectacular fashion. This was in the Hard Rock Stadium during an American football game in Miami, when the cat was seen to dangle precariously from the upper deck of the stadium before falling onto spectators below. Luckily though, the makeshift safety net was made out of an American flag used to catch the feline before it was removed by security officials. Coach of the Miami football team, Manny Diaz, said he knew nothing of the incident. However, he said, "I'll tell you if the cat will help us in our red zone offense." Red zone offense. I'm going to see if I can get in a scholarship.
Well, that's quite a heartwarming story.
I'm going to get that cat a scholarship. That must be an American thing, a scholarship. And do you want to know where the quietest place in America is?
Yes.
Do you like a bit of peace and quiet?
Yeah.
You like getting away from it all?
We do, yes, yeah.
You like getting the batteries out of your pager?
Yeah.
That's all important.
The batteries out of the pager.
Well, there's an area in West Virginia that regulates the use of cell phones, Wi-Fi, and other electromagnetic signals, and it's considered to be the quietest place on Earth. It's a town called Greenbank, and it's home to the National Radio Quiet Zone, a zone established by the federal government because it's home to an observatory. The observatory was built in 1957 and formerly known as the Radio Astronomy Observatory. It features 8 telescopes, including one that's over 300 feet in diameter. And inhabitants of the 13,000 square mile area, I think it is, can't use Wi-Fi, microwave, cell phones, or wireless pages. That area might be grossly too big. I don't know. Cell phones or wireless speakers in case they interfere with the sensitive equipment. To communicate, customers of the general store of Arbovale leave sticky messages for friends and family. Sticky notes.
A big good place for a digital detox.
Yes.
Have you ever fancied doing a digital detox?
I think that would be great. Yeah.
You know, just for a day, just to completely just go off grid.
That's why people say they like living there. It's for the digital detox, and you could understand why, really, can't you?
Yeah, it's like old thing of they reckon the average person in the modern age takes in more information in a day than a medieval peasant would absorb in their whole lifetime. Very interesting. But we have the same brains and physicality and all that. So you see, I am a big sort of, this is my kind of theory. I think a lot of the angst of the modern age is because we're essentially naked apes.
Yes.
Essentially cavemen living in this very high tech society.
Yeah.
And everything's gone faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. But our bodies, our minds haven't been able to keep up with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hence the angst.
Angst. Transcendental angst, I suppose it is it?
You discover interesting things like do you ever what are you looking at?
I'm looking at that plane that's heading straight to the window, but I think it's going to pass over, go to the local airport. Yes,
I hope it's not sort of
we'll be alright.
Kamikaze run.
No, I think we're alright this time. Sorry, what were we saying?
Sorry, I was distracted. Yeah, medieval peasants, for example.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of it? Their sleep cycles were unusual.
No, what was that?
They used to fall asleep quite early.
Right.
And then
nothing else to do.
They get up for several hours in the middle of the night and kind of potter about and then go to sleep again.
Right.
And it was a thing they discovered this by looking at people's diaries and stuff like that. This was a common thing before the industrial age. Everyone sort of
pottered about.
Had this sort of, you have 2 sleeps.
Yeah.
The big sleep and the little sleep.
Right.
And this was like a common thing. And it's only since the age of the industrial age that this notion of fixed.
Yeah.
Because this idea that you sleep so many hours, you rest, and then you work is purely to do with the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
And you're not actually adapted towards that. It's interesting, that,
Interesting. Yes. Have you ever heard about Spain and how their time zones off? They should be on the same time zone as us, GMT kind of time zone.
Is that something to do with General Franco?
Yeah, it's to do with he wanted to be aligned with the Nazis and have one time zone.
Yeah. But the problem was Spain was so far west.
Yeah, but so the people in Spain, their biorhythms and timing and all is all a bit messed up because the time's just not quite right there.
Ironically, I learned about that when I had a slight bout of insomnia. And I listened to Radio 4 one night, and it was like, it goes to the World Service in the wee small hours, and they did a short documentary about that because Spain should be on the same time as us.
Yes.
But it's because, as you say, General Franco wanted to be Central European time. You're like Italy and Germany, so it's up an hour skew off,
Anyway, we'll be back again next week. Remember, you can check out us on social media. We're on Facebook, just search for Weirdly Enough Podcast. Look at our website as well, weirdlyenough.com, or email podcast@weirdlyenough.com.
Thanks for listening to Weirdly Enough. Remember to subscribe to get the latest edition as soon as it drops. And don't forget to leave a review. Email us about anything we've discussed or with your own weird tale at podcast@weirdlyenough.com. Thanks for listening to Weirdly Enough. Remember to subscribe to get the latest edition as soon as it drops. And don't forget to leave a review. Email us about anything we've discussed or with your own weird tale at podcast@weirdlyenough.com.